For ABCDs, sambar needs no introduction. South Indians ate it at home with idli and dosa. Even North Indian ABCDs like my wife loves sambar. Her family would go to South Indian restaurants just to enjoy idli with piping hot sambar. Sambar is a mix of vegetables and lentils in a tamarind broth. When I was new to Indian cooking, sambar was very intimidating because it seemed like a lot of steps with unusual ingredients. But over time, I found a process to make cooking sambar much easier while still keeping the same flavor we loved as kids. I'll share that process with you in this video, so let's get to it. Here are the ingredients you need for this recipe. Note that I'm making a few substitutions from the traditional vegetables, which I'll explain in a minute. Half a cup of tur dal, or yellow lentils as they're called in English. Half a cup of masoor dal, or red lentils. 2 carrots diced. 1 yellow squash diced. 1/4 of an onion diced. And 3 cloves of garlic minced. You will also need these spices and ingredients. 12 ounces of cut green beans. Frozen is fine if you can't find fresh. 2 Roma tomatoes diced. Salt. 2 teaspoons of sambar powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds or cumin powder, 1 teaspoon mustard seeds, about 10 curry leaves, a pinch of asafoetida, 2 tablespoons of tamarind concentrate, and 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil or ghee. Here's what the vegetables look like cut up. You can find cumin seeds, salt, and ghee at your local grocery store. Cumin seeds and salt are in the spices aisle. Ghee and the dals are in the international foods aisle. You can buy the other ingredients online because they have a long shelf life and you won't find them at the American grocery store. I have links in the description for Pakka Indian brands of all of these ingredients. Traditionally, sambar is made with carrots, potatoes, tomatoes, onions, drumstick, okra, and pumpkin. As you know, the last 3 vegetables can be difficult to find in US grocery stores, especially in the spring and summer. If you have an Indian grocery store nearby, you can find them any time of year, but most of you only have access to an American grocery store. I created this recipe at a time in my life when I didn't have access to an Indian grocery store. All of my Indian ingredients at the time either came from online or from my parents giving me ingredients. Instead of drumstick and okra, use cut green beans. Instead of pumpkin, use yellow squash or zucchini. If there are any other vegetables you really like, give them a try in sambar and see how it goes. To cook the dal, start by adding half a cup of tur dal to a bowl. Then, add half a cup of masoor dal to another bowl. Wash the lentils 2 or 3 times and drain the water out. Then, add the lentils to a pressure cooker with 1 cup of water. I'm using my Instant Pot instead of a pressure cooker because I find it easier. I set my Instant Pot to the pressure cook setting for 25 minutes. If you're using a pressure cooker, cook for 4 to 5 whistles. After it's done cooking, let the pressure escape before opening the lid. If you want to learn how aunties in the US cook homemade Indian food, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people cook homemade Indian food in the US. While the lentils are cooking, we can start cooking the vegetables. Heat up a large pan over medium heat. Once the pan is hot, add 1 tablespoon of ghee or oil. South Indian recipes often use coconut oil, mustard oil, peanut oil, or ghee. After the oil heats up, add the onions and garlic to the pan. Stir them so the oil coats them evenly. Once the onions turn translucent, add the diced tomatoes. Cooking the tomatoes will take about 5 minutes, so stir every few minutes. You want to cook them until water evaporates from the tomatoes and the tomatoes are soft and mushy. Once the tomatoes are mushy, add the carrots, green beans, and squash. Mix so the tomatoes coat the vegetables evenly. Let them cook for about 3 minutes. Note that we aren't fully cooking the vegetables because they'll finish cooking in the boiling tamarind broth that we create later. My wife prefers crunchier vegetables, so I cook them a little less than most aunties would. If you prefer softer vegetables, go ahead and cook them for about 2 to 3 more minutes. After the vegetables get to the point you want, add 4 cups of water to the pot. I like a chunkier home-style sambar. Restaurants often serve a watered-down sambar to save money. If you prefer a soupy restaurant-style sambar, go ahead and add more water. Next, you'll mix 3 tablespoons of tamarind concentrate and a bit of water. Then add this tamarind broth to the pot. I like tamarind a lot, so I add a good amount to my sambar. If you don't like tamarind as much, you can use less. Now add 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of sambar powder to the pot. Again, if you like more or less sambar powder or salt, go ahead and adjust your preferences. You might also need to add more chili powder if you want your sambar spicier. My sambar powder is my South Indian mom's recipe. If you're using a store-bought sambar powder, it's likely saltier and spicier than most homemade recipes, so keep that in mind. This is a good point to do a taste test. Today's Cook Like an Aunty spice level is ABCD. One of the great things about making your own Indian food at home is that you can control the spice level for your and your family's preferences. After the taste test, add more salt, red chili powder, tamarind, or any other ingredient you prefer. Once you're happy with the flavor, add the cooked dal to the pot. Mix everything well. Once again, I like a chunkier sambar, so I added a lot of dal for the water ratio. If you like a soupier sambar, use less dal than I have. Now bring the sambar to a simmer and cook covered for an additional 10 minutes or until the vegetables are at your preferred texture. Now is a good time to cook your idlis or dosas to eat with the sambar. You can multitask and prepare idlis or dosas while the sambar simmers. The first video I published on this channel explains how to make idli and dosa from scratch. You can also use the store-bought packets for an easier solution. The store-bought dosa packets are very easy to use, and that's what I did for a few years before I learned to make idli and dosa at home. Now it's time to do the Tharka. Tharka is a method to infuse hot oil with spices and is very common in Indian cuisine. Some communities in India also call this chalk. I have my idli steaming in the pot at the top of the screen, and we'll do the Tharka in the small pot at the bottom of the screen. Start by heating the small pot over medium-high heat. After the pot is hot, add ghee or vegetable oil. Wait for the oil to become hot, then add 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds. Immediately after, you can add 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds, and then cover the pot quickly. The mustard seeds will start to pop. After the mustard seeds stop popping, turn off the heat. Then add a pinch of asafoetida, which is also known as hing. Finally, add the curry leaves and cover the pot quickly. The curry leaves will cause the oil to splash because of the water content. After the curry leaves calm down, uncover the pot and pour the oil onto the sambar in the larger pot. During this time, your sambar has been simmering. When your sambar vegetables get to the texture you prefer, turn off the heat. Now you're ready to eat. There you have it, a sambar with traditional flavors using vegetables you can actually find in the US. Remember, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. This channel's goal is to help American-born Desis learn to cook homemade Indian food. Thanks for watching, see you next time, bye.